My solo trip to Zimbabwe is an experience I cannot fully encapsulate into a single video, but the magic needed to be preserved, so a video I made. Being able to see my grandmother and spend time with her was so nourishing for my soul and internal being. Staying on the farm for the period of time I did was such a needed reset for my mental, physical, and emotional well-being. To more magical, lovely, heart-bursting, and wholesome moments and experiences. One of many of my mornings and days started off with me cleaning up the chivanzi, which name I don't know in English. I used a broom/brush made of straw bound together using rubber bands. It's called a muchairo. My spontaneous and not so spontaneous journey to my grants was catalyzed by a series of different, completely independent things, thoughts, and events. Have you ever felt an incessant, somewhat never ending intuitive need to execute a plan, to reach out to a loved one, to take action on something your heart deeply desires? Sort of like a fire in the soul. I had this deeply intuitive need to go visit my gran. She's actually the only grandparent living that I have left. And for many reasons aside from that, I cherish her so deeply. I wanted to make the 20+ hour bus, car, and taxi ride there to see and spend time with her. I remember the day I arrived, waving through the taxi minibus window to my unsuspecting grandma, who was sitting at the minibus drop-off point, completely unaware of whom she was waving back to, as she was not aware of my arrival. I hopped out the minibus taxi, beaming from ear to ear as I met her gaze. You would tear up at how surprised and filled with palpable happiness she was. Remembering the warm embrace I received from her as she told me how words could not express the joy and feelings she felt seeing me. That is a moment I cherish so deeply. My granny, being the absolute sweetheart she is, decided to make me some peanut butter that I could take home. The process requires the roasting of peanuts from her farm. After roasting and leaving them overnight, they are shaken up using a utensil called a chisero. They are then poured out from one of these big containers to another. I forgot the name of the specific container in question. And the shell slash skin of the peanuts are blown away. This is one of the small, beautiful snippets of me making dinner for my family, that being my gran, cousins, and aunt. Summer days are long. The sweet sun seems to not stay around for long though. Because of this, the sun sets between 6 and 7 in Mashingo, so dinner preparations begin in the afternoon. I started off by grabbing some dry wood to get the fire for the meal I needed to cook. My aunt found some potatoes in my grandmother's garden. This made me very excited as potatoes are one of my very most favorite foods. I knew exactly what to prepare. I started off by washing the potatoes with the water that had been collected from the well. I proceeded to give them their first rinse with the assistance of my adorable cousin, as I said earlier. I then peeled the potatoes, removing the outer skin. I then got some more water and gave them their second rinse. I then moved on to the butternut, which my aunt also got from the garden. Peeling it like I did with the potatoes. I also then gave the butternut its first rinse and proceeded to slice the butternut into circular shapes, giving them their second rinse, and then chop the butternut into little cubes. Once that was done, I transferred the butternut into a traditional Zimbabwean pot called a hari. It is round and very well suited for use on an open fire, as the shape allows for the food to be cooked evenly. I took the hari to the kitchen and placed it on the makeshift stove over the fire for it to cook. With the butternut, potatoes, chicken and veggies on the stove, I began preparing the sachet soup. I added the sachet soup to the potato stew I had been cooking and that had been boiling and steaming on the makeshift fire for a while. Yum, yum, yum. This is the final product of what my aunt and I prepared. Coated in deep fried spicy chicken, millet, which is called sadza in Shona or bap in South Africa, sweets and salty butternut, potato mash, spinach, potato stew. Again, yum, served up in a traditional Zimbabwean plate. My granny absolutely loved it, and that melted my heart. I remember waking up early one morning with this insatiable need to explore the land my grandmother called her home.
Sorry, gee.
Venturing to our first location through one of many cornfields, we made it through to this, can I say, historical reminder of the past and family history. History of those that came before me. This old house is the home my grandparents' parents used to live in. At the point in time when they lived here, it looked completely different, but time has taken a toll on it. My grandparents and their parents ended up building a new home further down, which led to this home having no one living in it. I was beyond grateful to find out this piece of information about my family. The last time I had been to my grandmother's house was in 2015, and surrounded by cousins and fun times and games, I wasn't really focused or aware of the history that surrounded me. Being much older now gave room for questions being answered and a better understanding of the history behind my family. On the farm, there is this simple strategic structure called the cattle kraal. This is where the cattle my granny owns are enclosed in. The cattle kraal is where the cows stay overnight for their safety and to sleep, but during the day they spend their day grazing. To the left is the goat kraal, where the adorable little goats are enclosed. It's like their own little house. They also stay here overnight for their safety. Here we also have a donkey on the farm. I was very grateful that my granny was there to be able to explain which house was whose and how the family's way of living expanded and how the family's homes shifted and all that. As she's the only grandparent I have left, it felt so wholesome and so needed, not out of obligation, but just curiosity and the need to know where the family history comes from, and being able to carry that with me and knowing that that is where I come from too was a very special experience. It felt special. It felt so special that I had to share these moments with all you magical souls. My solo trip to Zimbabwe is an experience I cannot fully encapsulate into a single video, but the magic needed to be preserved, so a video I made. Being able to see my grandmother and spend time with her was so nourishing for my soul and internal being. Staying on the farm for the period of time I did was such a needed reset for my mental, physical, and emotional well-being. To more magical, lovely, heart-bursting, and wholesome moments and experiences.